Hello dear students, today we'll speak about unintended consequences. Unit 1, Global Problems, and Lesson 2, Unintended Consequences. Today with you again, Senior Lecturer Mavlonova Ugiloy Khamdamovna. Our main literature is Scale Up Students Book Course 2, and additional literature is Scale Up Workbook Course 2. The aim of the lesson is to raise one's awareness about unintended consequences, and the second one is to enlarge the lexical stock relating to unintended consequences. So, there is a question. What are unintended consequences? They are foreseen costs or benefits. And here are three types of unintended consequences. The first one, unexpected benefits. The second one, unexpected damages. The third one, perverse effects. So, in the next slide, you will see examples to each types of consequences. The first one for unexpected benefits. The second example is to unexpected drawbacks, and the third one is for perverse results. In the next slide, you will see also examples for unintended consequences. Unintended consequence of medicines is their side effects. Unintended consequence of cars is car accidents. And unintended consequence of technology is digital extremism. So, there is a law of unintended consequences. Any intervention in a complex system may or may not have the intended result, but will inevitably create unanticipated and often undesirable outcomes, mainly used as caution against a hubristic approach to life. In this slide, you will see an example for unintended consequences from real life. It's given. And here are some facts about unintended consequences. In 1936, Robert Merton listed 5 possible causes of unanticipated consequences. The first, ignorance, making it impossible to anticipate everything, thereby leading to incomplete analysis. The second cause, errors in analysis of the problem or following habits that worked in the past but may not apply to the current situation. The third cause, immediate interests overriding long-term interests. The fourth, basic values which may require or prohibit certain actions even if the long-term result may be unfavorable. And the last cause, self-defeating prophecy, or the fear of some consequence which drives people to find solutions before the problem causes. Here also you can see an example to car accident. And we face to such kind of example even every day. Now let's move to the practical part of the lesson. Exercise 1. Read the quote and discuss them. The first quote is by Anthony Robbins. Every problem is a gift. Without problems, we would not grow. So, what does it mean? life isn't easy. There are problems, or as I prefer, obstacles, challenges, and difficulties. Or if you prefer to stand covering beneath them, you can call them problems. The next quote: most of the problems in life are because of two reasons. We act without thinking, or we keep thinking without acting. What does it mean? So, it's my opinion. Sometimes we lose our thoughtfulness while trying to help yourself. It's hard to see beyond the desire to make yourself feel better, but it could be at the cost of others if you don't think it through thoroughly. Before doing something out of the ordinary, take 20 minutes and review the idea and ensure it is okay for you and for other people involved. Now let's move to exercise 2. Here you should match the words 1 to 13 with the appropriate definitions A to M. So, in this page you can see all the words and phrases and match them. They are the new words of today's lesson. The first: to harm, to alter, to exploit, harvest, a sparrow, to launch, exhaustion, extinct, starvation, to swarm, a yell, to consume, to curb. So, I'll give you a minute to match the definitions. If you have finished, now let's check your answers. The first, to harm. Its definition is the letter F, to hurt someone or damage something. The second, to alter. Its definition is J, to change something, usually slightly, or to cause characteristics of something to change. The third, to exploit. Its definition is the letter M, to use something for advantage. The fourth, harvest. Its definition is the letter B, the time of year when crops are cut and collected from the fields. The fifth, a sparrow. I think you know it. So its definition is the letter K, a small gray-brown bird which is especially common in towns. We always, every day face to this small gray-brown bird here in our town. Okay, the sixth, to launch. To launch, its definition is A, to begin something such as a plan or introduce something new such as a product. The seventh, exhaustion. The answer is the letter L, a condition of extremely being tired. And the 8th, extinct. Its answer is the letter E, no longer existing. 9th, starvation. The definition is the letter D, the state of living no food for a long period, often causing death. The 10th, to swarm. The definition is the letter I, which when insects come together in a large group. So 11th, a yolk. Its definition is the letter H. The letter H. So, an amount of something positive, such as food or profit, that is produced or supplied. The 12th, to consume. To consume, its answer is the letter C, to eat or drink, especially a lot of something. And the last one, 13th, to curb. Its definition is the letter G, to control or limit something that is not wanted. So you can check your answers with the possible ones. Here you can see them. 1 is F, 2 is J, and etc. Now let's to the next exercise. Exercise 3. Here you will listen to the tape and fill in the blanks with appropriate words and phrases. These words and phrases just now we learned with you. And 1, 2, 3. Let's begin listening.
Listen to Unintended Consequences. Good morning, dear listeners. Today again we are in the radio program. When people want to have more change in their lives by a wish to make it happier, they try to experiment something extraordinary or even incorrect, unnatural, which may sometimes bring to different disasters. Those issues can be done by not wanting progressively worse. The overflow of insects, plus the added effect of widespread deforestation and misuse of poisons were a significant contributor to the Great Chinese Famine in 1958, I think, till 1961, in which an estimated, can you imagine, 30 million people died of starvation. Things got so bad that the Chinese government started importing sparrows from other countries. Oh, from your story we can see that human disturbed into environmental issues brought so many disasters. It brought tragic unintended consequences to the whole country. Humanity did a lot of mistakes in past, but they should serve us as a good lesson. Thank you for your attention.
Now you have listened to the awful story about sparrows in China, about the tragic unintended consequences in China. If you have finished filling the gaps, let's check your answers. The first missed word was satisfied. The second one was 4.5. The third one was extermination. The fourth one, anti-sparrow war. Fifth, terminating. Sixth, to prevent. Seventh, extinction. Eighth, locust. And the last one, insects. All these words and phrases were our new words of today's lesson. So I'll show you the full exercise again, and you can see missed words in red in this exercise. You can check them with yours. So your homework will be to watch the film from this YouTube channel and count the number of problems and unintended consequences here. At the next lesson you will tell me about it, and your next task will be to learn by heart the new words and phrases of the lesson. So our lesson is over. Thank you for your attention.